the other road to Vegas. Los Angeles to Las Vegas by way of Death Valley. Everybody knows the road to Vegas from LA. It's Interstate 15, which takes about 5 hours unless you have a heavy foot and don't run into any traffic. But even though it's the fastest route, it isn't the only one worth taking. If you have a few extra hours, and of course a day or two is always better, consider taking this scenic route to Sin City. LA to Olancha, then east into Death Valley, and on into Pahrump and Las Vegas. The route takes you over 5 mountain passes and all the way down to sea level in Death Valley. If you don't take any detours or spend too much time exploring, you can usually complete the trip in 8 hours. Here's the turnoff in Olancha. Be ready for a fascinating 101-mile trip. From the Owens Lake Valley, we'll head up into the Darwin Hills, rising over 5,000 feet before winding down into Panamint Valley. As the road rises, you can see the slopes of the snow-dusted Panamint Range in the distance. As much as I would have liked to, I didn't have time to take a side trip to Darwin, a remarkably intact ghost town named after Dr. Darwin French, who explored the area in 1860. Rich silver and lead deposits were discovered in 1874, and by 1877 the town boasted a population of more than 1,000. Prosperity was short-lived. A year later, even richer strikes at Mammoth and Bodie left the town nearly deserted. Here's the sign marking the border of Death Valley National Park, which, as the sign says, is the homeland of the Timbisha Shoshone. The Timbisha Homeland Act, passed by Congress in 2000, established a 7,000-acre land base for the tribe within its ancestral homelands. 300 acres lie within Death Valley National Park, including the Timbisha Indian Village near Furnace Creek. While the road looks relatively flat here, the sign isn't exaggerating. The route is steep as it climbs to the summit. The snow-capped Panamint Range rises in the distance. Recent rains brought these rocks down on the roadway. Because you never know what might greet you, it's wise to proceed slowly on the curvy sections of the road. Father Crowley Point has a parking area, and on the day we visited, even a reflecting puddle in front of the monument. Named for John J. Crowley, an influential Catholic priest who lived, wrote, and worked in the Owens Valley and the surrounding mountains in the 20s and 30s. The point is a great place to see vistas of the northern end of the Panamint Valley. Now we get the warnings about the falling rocks. The road winds on down into Panamint Valley. It's now late afternoon. It looks later than that at Panamint Springs. It would actually be a good time to stop in at the bar here, a friendly gathering place with a large bar made out of a gigantic redwood burl and an enchanting gallery of historic Death Valley photographs. Since we don't have time and beer doesn't go with driving anyway, we push on. In addition to a bar and a restaurant, Panamint Springs has motel rooms, campsites, RV hookups, a gas station, and a convenience store. It's popular with off-road enthusiasts. The road cuts straight across the narrow valley. We had hoped to find wildflowers along our path, but instead discovered only the rippling waters left on the valley floor by recent rains. At 3,000 feet, we still have nearly 2,000 feet of elevation to gain before we'll reach the summit. The setting sun lights up colorful rock formations as we keep climbing. We reach Town Pass, 4,956 feet in elevation. Now we'll head down into Death Valley, hoping to make it across before we lose all daylight. As I said earlier, you could easily spend a long day, or even several, moseying along this route. Nearby military bases often provide interesting sights in the sky. This Navy jet is probably from China Lake Naval Air Weapons Station, near Ridgecrest. The Funeral Mountains rise in the distance as we descend to the floor of Death Valley. The Timbisha Shoshone disapprove of the white man's names for their homeland and its scenic features. Like anyone who has ever spent time here, they know the gloomy monikers are undeserved. The sign warning of a steep grade is not exaggerating, as I mentioned before. Make sure your brakes are in good shape, and hope that those on the truck behind you are too. Another view of the Funeral Mountains as the sun goes down. I hope the skid marks are there because somebody stopped quickly to watch, but it's just as likely the driver was avoiding a coyote. Or maybe they were left by one of the many test drivers who use this road to push the limits of new car models. The general store at Stovepipe Wells is a nice place to stop for a break. The resort has motel rooms, campsites, and RV hookups. Gas is available, if expensive. A much photographed sign on the valley floor announces that if we were on the coast, we'd be swimming. The lowest spot in Death Valley is Badwater. At 280 feet below sea level, it boasts the lowest elevation in the United States. Badwater is about 15 miles south of Furnace Creek, and worth a visit if you've got the time. In the fading light, we zoom through the Devil's Cornfield, a sandy expanse dotted with arrowweed plants that look like they've been planted in rows. Sadly, we don't have time to stop at the lovely and historic Furnace Creek Inn. Built by the Pacific Coast Borax Company, the inn opened in 1927 and still features a swimming pool and palm-girded ponds fed by a warm spring. The bar and dining room are elegant, as are the 66 guest rooms, most of which have stunning views of the valley. If you can't stay overnight, consider stopping in for a meal or a drink. Another place to take a break is the nearby Furnace Creek Ranch, which has a coffee shop, bar, gas station, motel rooms, campsites, and RV hookups. It's dark by the time we're on the road to Las Vegas via Pahrump. It's not exactly a scenic wonder, but this laundromat is owned by former Madam to the Stars, Heidi Fleiss. It looks like quite a nice operation, so if you're in need of a washing machine, why not stop here and then boast that Heidi Fleiss gave you a spin dry? We're now over the hump, the last of our mountain passes on Nevada's Highway 160 that leads straight to the southern end of the Strip, not far from the iconic sign. Welcome to fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. We hope you have fun, and we especially hope you had fun getting here.